Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Back here with another update on the Ecto-1A fantasy build and some changes. So you guys saw in the last video I was having some issues and I wasn't really happy with how high the floor was, and it was going to cause me some fitting issues with the computer and the little side table and everything that goes over here. A lot of that stuff was going to be affected, and it wasn't working out, and I wasn't really happy with how that was going to have to be. And I want the chair, and I want everything else. I want to be able to have the whole computer area. I want to have the gurney, of course, everything. So I decided to make a compromise, and you guys can see I have removed the spring cylinder. This is and was my biggest headache on not just this car but those other two, the Afterlife and Frozen Empire version. And really the only reason I was keeping it was because it was kind of nice. It locked the seat into position, but it's not like it really did anything other than that. I was still having to manually turn the seat by hand. So I made life a little bit easier for myself. Took that out, put a stiff Technic pin in the spot where the seat will hook into, so the seat will stay in whatever position I put it in. And that allows me to build up the area right up against this sliding piece, which I wasn't able to do before because the cylinder did hang out over that. And now I can have the floor the correct level. I just kind of have to get a little nifty with how I'm laying the floor across this, because of course I can't build directly on top of that, but I can span over it. So so that's going to save me a ton of headaches. You guys can see I've already done a lot of teardown. These pieces are just sitting here. I just kind of had to figure out what I had to fill that space with. You guys can see my coloration is different now. I'm using more of the mock coloration in that area. I also had to raise up this spot where the jump seat is going, and I didn't like that, so I got that back down to where it's supposed to be per the mock. I have some tile work in here. Replaced my stopping points with gray pieces, and keeping a little bit of that floor, that kind of gated floor or whatever, just in the area where the seat is basically going to hover over. Normal floor the rest of the area. And then you guys can kind of see I did a little off coloring on this piece, just so in this area we're all gray, so I'm not having too many layers of colors in this area and make it look goofy. I don't want to do that. A little bit of this will show, but only like that much, so I'm not too worried about it. Once the floor kind of gets built up and around, I'll figure out the tiling for that and we'll blend it in and it'll look nice. You'll just see a little bit of that corner, but at least it's all the same color. I do have a tile underneath that piece, so all that kind of flows a little bit nicer. And now I kind of have this nice deep area. And if you guys remember, I actually designed it kind of like that on the first two cars, the first go around, and then I decided to build that whole floor up and kind of do that, use these tiles here for the whole flooring. And it looks alright, but on this version I have to do things a little differently. So I kind of came in here, I just tiled that area, built up this area with some different color plates. Try to stick with black right up against here, even though that stuff down there you're not really going to see, but I want this back wall to be all black with that dark gray floor on top. And I'll be able to, it makes life a lot easier for me not having that spring cylinder. I kind of wish I would have not put them on the other cars, because I could have done my floors a little different. In those cars though, it's not that big of a deal because the floors seem to be a little bit more raised up, and so there's kind of that corrugated floor over the whole moving mechanism. So this just makes more sense on this version. I'm probably not going to go back and change it on the other two versions because those look fine. They work fine. Everything's cool with those. But this particular car had to be a little different. So, like I said, this is supposed to be a fantasy kind of transition era. And some people have kind of asked me, you know, what's the goal for this car? Is it going to be rusty? What's your timeline of this? What's your purpose of this? So, my main purpose of this car initially was I wanted another Ecto-1A because I love that car. That's my favorite version of the car. But I didn't want to make it the exact same because there's really no point in just building two identical doubles. I know there's different storylines as far as like the animated series is concerned versus the movie series, and there's that reboot that I'm not even gonna worry about. That's not a concern of mine. But my goal here is to simply bridge the gap in between Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife, and I want to hit an area in that time frame a little bit closer after the Ghostbusters 2. Basically, and of course this is all fantasy, this is just my own idea of what I wanted to do. So I'm not gonna, there's certain things I'm gonna stick to, and there's certain things that I want to do, like, adding the chair and a few other little things, but I want this car to be a representation of what the car would have been like, let's say, a couple years after Ghostbusters 2. Not that many years. Maybe just like even 2 years after that movie came out. Basically, this car is going to be right in the last heyday and the good times for the Ghostbusters, prior to the final fall off of their company, well before Afterlife took place. But it's in between those two movies is where I'm kind of aiming for. To me, the gunner seat seems like something they would have done while they were still a whole crew, because that gave them the ability to be mobile and fight ghosts. Having, a 4-person crew, 2 up front, 2 in the back, somebody, would definitely be in the gunner seat, just like how they are in the movies with the newer movies. But basically this car is, in my mind, taking place at the peak of Ghostbusters, right when they would have been at their busiest. They would have been still very loved, very respected in the community. That's kind of the storyline that I'm coming up with for this car. This is basically right before that final fall off, before they disbanded and Egon moved away and took everything with him. So that's kind of my era that I'm putting this car in, and the storyline that I'm putting behind it. And like I said, I just kind of want to, there's so much of a gap. Now, I know in the Ghostbusters lore, the Ecto-1A didn't exist. It was just the Ecto-1, and that's kind of how they ran it into Afterlife, is that car never really changed from the original version, which is why it still looked like the original version, just with a couple modifications. But I want to write that story a little bit more fluid and still honor the 1A and all the cool extra stuff that it had. So that's my goal for this car. So if you're wondering why I'm doing this, or what my game plan is for it, it's going to be clean. It's going to be still in fantastic shape. It's going to have all this extra stuff, like the chair. I'm going to try to integrate the ladder back on on the driver's side, and just kind of do a few little things to kind of lead it towards the Afterlife version. Of course, the whole top is vastly different. Not too much I can really do for the storyline of that, but just some stuff I can kind of touch on and really make the car unique. And so hopefully that answers some of your questions on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Basically, it's just I'm just going off of the movies, the legit movies, 1, 2, Afterlife, and Frozen Empire. Those are the only movies I'm worried about. And this is kind of that little step to bridge the gap between Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife. So hopefully that kind of clears up on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Like I said, I love the Ecto-1A. That's my favorite version in that car. It was just so cool. It had so much stuff on it. It was basically the rebirth of that car the first time that we got to see it. You know, it was not very in good shape, and then it was built up into the Ecto-1 and looked awesome, and then the Ecto-1 kind of fell off and fell apart and got pretty bad right at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2. And then once again it was rejuvenated into just this beast of a car with all this cool stuff on it. So it's always been my favorite version. Ever since that movie came out, it's been my favorite version. So but yeah, so we're making some progress, lots of changes, had to make some serious decisions on getting rid of some stuff and just making life easier for me. It'll look really awesome. The seat is basically still going to work exactly how it is. It's basically just me still turning it by hand, because that was still a thing that I had to do, and just facing it forward. It'll hold itself now that I have a stiff Technic pin. Not worried about that at all, so some problem solving, some things taken care of, and now I can start making some more progress. I did have to kind of go back in the instructions, though, and kind of get back to where this floor is, because I have to see where some of these pieces are going on my new floor area, because some of it is kind of encroaching, kind of in some more difficult areas. So some stuff to figure out yet, but we're getting there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the update, and hopefully I was kind of able to clear up exactly why I'm doing this car and what it's going to be when it's done. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the update, and until next time, take care.